What is up, you degens? Big Dave is back, and I'm going to be predicting UFC Fight Night. Corey Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo. Will Figgy get jiggy, or will Corey come through with another masterclass decision? Stay tuned. We're going to start with the first fight of the night. We have Juliana Miller versus Ivana Petrovic. So Juliana Miller, what do you even say about her? She kind of walks forward. She likes pressure. Very sloppy, really bad defense, not a whole lot of power, but she tries to get this pressure swarming game going. Doesn't seem to be super dangerous in the clinch. Her takedowns, well, they're non-existent. In her last fight, she basically just got standing TKO'd. And, when she was hurt, she did not show any defense or any, ability to escape. She just kind of started swinging back. She was dazed, of course, but it's not a good sign. You need to have some sort of clinch, takedown, anything, even movement. Don't just stand against the cage and try to brawl your way off it. She's going to go against Ivana Petrovic. I didn't watch too much of her. I kind of watched her for about a minute and decided she was probably going to win. Good striker on the outside. Close fight with Jamie Lynn Horth where she's not close, but as far as I remember, she gave a good account of herself. Dynamic on the feet, good fight on the back foot. Not great on the ground, but I don't think Miller is going to be able to do anything to her. And my official prediction is going to be Ivana Petrovic by unanimous decision. I just think Juliana Miller, if she tries to do that pressuring game against Ivana, I think Ivana is going to be able to catch her coming in, pick her apart, and I don't think she's going to get melted. So I'm going to go Ivana Petrovic. I'm going to go by decision, but, the women lately have been finishing a lot of fights, so we'll see if she can take Juliana Miller out of there. But for now, I'm going to go Petrovic by decision because I don't see crazy stopping power from her. But we move on up the card. Don'Tale Mayes versus Thomas Peterson. You're never going to convince me that Thomas Peterson is not just Dave Allen making a mean face. So Thomas Peterson, fast heavyweight, not the biggest guy. Decent boxing on the feet, kind of bad defense. He tries to play this combination boxing game where he uses his speed, maybe kind of muscles guys around, uses his pace, but mostly just a boxer. Not great kicking, not great wrestling. He'll go to it, but that's not his specialty. Don'Tale Mayes, what do we know about him? Kind of a weird fighter. He's gigantic. He has a great jab when he uses it. Not great as in he's using it to set up things, but it's big and it's long, he's big and it's long and he can jab you from far away, but he doesn't build a game plan off it. He's kind of like tries to do cool shit kind of fighter. He doesn't have much process. He'll fight on the back foot. He'll clinch if he has to. And he's shown decent power before, but he's not no knockout artist. He's more of a decision guy. And Thomas Peterson is the favorite here. He's a minus 240 favorite, even though he just got knocked out by Shamil Gaziev. And watching that fight, watching both of their fights versus Shamil, I think Don'Tale Mayes showed that he's tougher. He may not be necessarily the better striker, but I think the fact that he's going to have such a big range advantage on Thomas Peterson, I see this just being a really sloppy fight where they end up in the clinch a bunch, but Don'Tale Mayes maybe lands a couple more strikes. So I'm going to go Don'Tale Mayes by decision. Thomas Peterson's really going to have to show me that he can get inside on a guy this big and this durable before I can pick him to swarm people and take them out. So going Don'Tale Mayes by decision. Moving up the card, Gaston Bolanos versus Quang Le. Now, funny thing about Quang Le, and we're going to get to this when I talk about Figueiredo later, you can't find his last fight versus Long Zhao. You can't find the Yan versus Figueiredo card, period, on UFC Fight Pass or ESPN Plus. The fuck, ESPN? Come on, man. Trying to do research here, and I can only watch him go to a decision with Chris Gutierrez, but I can't see his last fight. Useless. So with that being said, this fight, I don't know. I try to base it off how they're looking in their last fight, but Kwang Lee, he seems like a good, decent boxer. He seems fast. Uh, Obviously, he can be knocked out. Don't know how. Really annoying. But he's quick. He's a dynamic striker. He seems to like to box mostly. He's going against Gaston Bolanos, who was an accredited kickboxer back in the day. If you know, then you knew he was like a spinning elbow guy. He had multiple knockouts from spinning back elbows. I believe he had them in kickboxing and in MMA. So obviously that's a very tricky thing that he can set up. In the UFC, he's looked okay. I think the wrestling can really throw him off his game. He's like a one and done power striker. Surprisingly stiff, but pretty powerful. Not a great combination puncher, not a great jabber. He's mostly like doing weird shit like switching stances into a right hook, big body kick, big leg kick, big right hand. He's not faint jab to the body, jab to the head, right hand. And that's more Kwang Lee status. I think Kwang Lee is going to get knocked out. I picked him originally, but now that I'm talking about it, I think Gaston Bolanos is going to be trickier than him. So I'm going to pick Gaston Bolanos, and I think both guys can get knockdowns right here. But I'm going to trust Gaston Bolanos to pick him apart from the outside, eventually land something that hurts Kwang Lee and puts him out. So I'm going to go Gaston Bolanos. This is a weird one. So I'm going to go second round TKO. And Gaston Bolanos is the favorite, minus 185. And you can have Kwang Lee at plus 155. So, that might be an interesting little thing you can put some money on. But yeah, Gaston Bolanos by TKO. Next fight, Marina Rodriguez versus Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson, submission specialist. We all know she's gotten a lot better, and she's on a hot streak right now. She's getting these girls to the ground. She's controlling them, dominating them. Her stand-up's looking better. It's not great, but her footwork and her decision-making is improved. Her boxing's improved. And she's now kind of cohesively putting it together to work with her grappling. I think that's huge. That's fucking huge. That can turn you from a, bottom of the barrel fighter into where she's at now. I believe she's ranked. So, yeah, I'm really psyched to see her improvements. I love watching people get better. And Marina Rodriguez is on the opposite. And she's lost probably 5 out of her last 6, I believe. When she gets taken down, it's pretty much over for her. She doesn't have good wrestling. Her jiu-jitsu is so far behind that I don't think any gi classes or no gi classes is going to save her. Basically, she's a one big punch, and she tries to swarm you and knock you out, which she did earlier in her career, but people have figured her out, and she's just shown such a big weakness. I will say Jillian Robertson is the least athletic of the two, so maybe she just doesn't have the wrestling to get Rodriguez down and just loses a decision. I can really see that happening. But I'm going to stick with Jillian Robertson. I like her form lately, and I really like where she's been taking her game. Combining the striking and the wrestling and then going for the submissions. She's such a dangerous submission threat. I just can't pick Marina Rodriguez to knock her out. So I'm going to go Jillian Robertson. I'm going to go first round submission. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Jillian Robertson, whatever, minus 280 favorite. Marina Rodriguez is a plus 230 underdog. So, hey, you might get lucky if you're into that shit and pick Marina Rodriguez by KO. But yeah, her record is just, it's so hard to look at that and then look at Jillian's and pick them. So maybe I'm biased, but MMA is what have you done for me lately? And I can only ask for you to improve, and Robertson showed that. So, Jillian Robertson by submission. Fuck. All right, next fight we got Azamat Bakoyev versus Ryan Loder. Ryan Loder, Ultimate Fighter winner, great wrestler. barely started MMA not too long ago, and he's just shown how bad middleweight is, that he can just go and dominate guys by wrestling them. On the feet, he's a little one and done. He's kind of slow, a little predictable, but he seems like a smart guy, and he's a great athlete. A little older to be coming up into the UFC and to try to make a run, but middleweight is just that division. It's just such a low-skilled division, which is crazy. These dudes really rely on their athleticism a lot. And he's going to be going against a beast, Azamat Bakoyev. Now, don't let the name fool you. He's not like this undefeated monster. He has lost before, but I think what he brings to the game again, he's a wrestler, just like Loder, is he's a little bit better on the feet, but he does look a little bit more timid on the feet. He looks very nervous to exchange in boxing range. His defense is kind of just keep the guard up and maybe counter with one and then duck into the clinch. So this is going to be like who's a better wrestler, in my opinion. And then if the wrestling neutralizes itself, it's going to be the classic wrestler versus wrestler where they just have a bad kickboxing fight. And I can see Loder winning that, but I'm not going to pick it. So I think Azamat Bakoyev, he just looks a little better on the feet. Again, can't find his last fight. I had to go on fucking some website, I won't say which one, to find the fight because for some reason Makhachev vs. Moicano prelims are just not available on ESPN. What is going on? Anyways, Azamat Bakoyev by decision. I think that's going to be my pick. He's a minus 360 favorite, and Ryan Loder is a plus 260 underdog. So I think the bookies are seeing what I'm saying. I think Loder's too inexperienced to deal with a well-rounded guy like Bakoyev who can keep up in the wrestling. So Azamat Bakoyev by decision is my pick. Moving up, we got Miesha Tate versus Yana Santos. I'm going to be quick on this one because I don't give a shit. Miesha Tate is going to win by decision. I believe she's better all around. I believe she's more confident and more aggressive. She's slower and probably not as physically strong. But I think Yana Santos, I just can't ever pick her for some reason. I don't understand how she likes to fight. She just likes to neutralize people against the fence. I think Miesha Tate's too aggressive and a little too skilled to let that happen. Plus, on the ground, she'll take the back and she'll go for submissions, and where Yana is purely control. So I'm going to go Miesha Tate by decision. But, yeah, it seems like a really bad fight. Miesha Tate is the favorite at minus 130, and Yana Santos is almost even at plus 110. Moving up the card, Jeremy Lil Heaven Stevens versus Mason Jones. Okay, I love Jeremy Stevens, so let's get into this. Mason Jones coming back to the UFC. He didn't have a great run, kind of had like a bunch of weird shit happen, lost 2 fights. I think he lost to Ludovic Klein, and he lost to, I want to say, Mike Davis. And, the Ludovic Klein one wasn't very close. He just got picked apart at range. But he's gone on the regional scene, went back to Cage Warriors, and beat the shit out of some guys. Looked good. He's trying to start this pressure. He likes this pressure, boxing, dirty box, clinch game. And, he's a well-rounded guy. And he's taking on Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens. What do we say? Big puncher. One of the biggest punchers in the featherweight division for as long as he was there. But he went on a 7-fight losing streak and didn't start getting back into it until he started doing bare knuckle. Now, Jeremy Stevens' biggest problem has always been A, people who don't stand in front of him, and B, people who wrestle and take him down. And I think Mason Jones is going to be able to do that. I don't think Jeremy Stevens is going to be able to come in here and force Mason Jones into standing and trading with him. I think the book's been written on him. As much as I love him and would love to see him get a win here, I think his time has passed, and it's kind of sad that he's still doing this for money. I think he should move on to some other stuff. But hell, get that bag, bro. But I'm going to go Mason Jones by submission. I believe he might get knocked down by Stevens. He might be like, oh, I'm beating this old man up. And then Stevens just got that fucking power. He's got the dim mock, touch of death. I think he might put Jones down for a second, but I don't think he's going to be able to translate it to a finish. So I'm going to go Mason Jones by submission. I think he ducks under a wild swing, gets him down, gets his back, and chokes him out. So yeah, Mason Jones by submission. And he is a minus 480 favorite. And you can have Jeremy Steven at plus 360. So, you know, if you're feeling risky, you can put some money on Jeremy Stevens to land the bomb. But I'm gonna have to stick with Mason Jones. I just think he's a talented guy, and I think he's just too well-rounded. So Mason Jones by submission. Next fight, Cameron Smotherman versus Surhi City. Surhi City, dangerous dude. Lanky, long for the division. Good striking, good submissions, great cardio, great chin. A little defensively lax sometimes. You know, it happens with these taller, skinnier guys. They got a lot of surface area to cover. So, you know, he can take a couple shots, but he's shown a really good chin against Garrett Armfield. You know, Garrett Armfield was timing some pretty good counters, and Surhi City stood up to them and was able to out-volume him. And we move on to Cameron Smotherman, pressure fighter, a good classic kickboxing style, really high guard, kind of one at a time. He will use combinations. Not the fastest dude. He's more bulky and strong, explosive though, and he seems pretty smart. I like his IQ. You know, he knew against Jake Hadley, pressuring him against the fence was going to be a thing to take away Hadley's speed, force him to either go forward, left, or right. And, you know, he kept him on that cage the whole time. Will he be able to do this to Surhi City is the question, because Surhi City's got such high output, and he's a tall guy. So maybe Cameron Smotherman gets in his face, and he's just eating shots, trying to land big shots to knock Surhi out, but Surhi eats him and just keeps the volume up. And I can see that happening. So that's why I'm going to go Cameron Smotherman, my first underdog, I believe, of the whole, or my second underdog of the whole card. I think he's going to win a decision here. I think it'll be a robbery, quote unquote. I think it'll be a close fight, but I think Smotherman's presence and his kind of tanky little movement is going to sway the judges. I think Surhi City is going to do a good account of himself, but I think he might just get caught with big shots that are more eye-catching. I can see him knocking Smotherman out just because Smotherman is so insistent on pressuring. And when you like pressuring, a smart fighter can make you run into shots. But I don't think he's reckless enough for that to happen. So I'm going to go Cameron Smotherman. I'm going to go close decision. And yeah, that's an underdog. So Cameron Smotherman, plus 130 underdog. Surhi City is a minus 155 favorite. Going with the underdog. Next fight up the card, Montel Jackson versus Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos, what do you say? Technician, loves to fight on the outside. You know, not the most dangerous striker, but he's smart and he picks his openings very well. A little bit low output. Likes the leg kicks a lot, and not the most consistent fighter. He'll kind of just have these moments where he just, I don't know if he's resting or just trying to like get data, but he won't be the same guy. He just has these moments in rounds where he just takes his foot off the gas. I don't know if that's going to work against Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson, big bantamweight. We don't see him enough. I'm just going to say that up front. He needs to fight more if he's going to make a run. He's very talented, big for the division, powerful for the division, calm. He can go 3 rounds at a hard pace and retain his dangerousness, but he just doesn't compete enough. So he's never getting his momentum going. I don't know if he's injury prone or if he's one of these guys that makes some money and then he goes, oh, now I have enough to kind of chill. He's not interested in getting rich, which is fine, but for prediction, it's hard. But Montel Jackson, dangerous on the feet, big, rangy, powerful, good chin, good defensive wrestling. Not the best footwork, but when you're that tall and long and you can hit like that, you don't really need it that much. All you need to do is just be able to keep your range. And I think that's what he's going to do. I think Daniel Marcos is going to take his first L. I don't think he's going to be able to play this low outside kickboxing game, dive into the clinch, go for takedowns against Montel Jackson. I think he's going to be stuck at range and he's going to get shook. And I think Montel Jackson is going to pick him apart. So I'm going to go Montel Jackson by unanimous decision. And Montel Jackson is a minus 200 favorite, and Daniel Marcos can be had for plus 170. Moving up the card, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez. Now, I'm going to go... Well, first, let's talk about D-Rod. Southpaw boxer, no real kicks. He'll kick a little bit, no real wrestling. His whole goal is to keep you at the end and land big left hooks, right hooks on you and knock you out. He hasn't been knocking too many people out lately. He's kind of been on a tough run. He's getting a little older. I think he's almost 40, a couple years removed from 40. But in this fight, he's getting Santiago Ponzinibbio, another boxer, this time orthodox. So we're going to have a open matchup here. Ponzinibbio, again, I believe he is 40. Big power puncher, great jab, good low kicks. But he hasn't fought a lot of southpaws. And, with D-Rod, I think he's going to lose out on his jab. And I think he's going to just be trying to be faster than D-Rod, which is very possible. D-Rod's not very fast. He's pretty slow. He has good timing, but he's pretty slow. So this is kind of a coin flip. But I'm going to go D-Rod. I think he's going to be able to just time Ponzinibbio with good shots and good counters. And I think Ponzinibbio's going to have a big speed advantage. So I can see him winning. This is so close. But I'm going to go D-Rod by decision. I think it's going to be super, super close. But I don't trust Ponzinibbio's chin. I think he can still get just buzzed by a big shot by D-Rod and maybe sway the judges. So, plus not having his jab. Yeah, I'm going to go Daniel Rodriguez. I'm going to go D-Rod by decision. And I think this is going to be a close fight. But, yeah, D-Rod is minus 130 favorite. And Ponzinibbio is the plus 105 pick'em. So, yeah, D-Rod by decision. Moving up, we got Reinier de Ridder versus Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel, what do we say? Wrestler, learning to strike on the feet, but just one of the best wrestlers we have in the sport right now. At least, what do you call it? Accomplishment-wise, I guess. He's the highest level. Not much else to say. Not great submissions, but he can submit some guys. But just his takedowns are great. And we'll see how he goes later. But this fight is tough. Reinier de Ridder, beast. Submission beast. That's all he is. He loves submissions. Kind of goofy on the feet. Big, tall, kind of slow, but on the ground, he is very tricky. And he seems very strong. Now, this is a classic wrestler versus BJJ guy. And I think in this case, I'm going to pick the jiu-jitsu guy. I think I'm going to go Reinier de Ridder by submission. I know. Not super impressed by Bo Nickel. I think he still needs a lot of work. And I think Reinier de Ridder is top 10, top 5 material. Just because of being in middleweight and being that big and having that grappling. I don't think Bo Nickel's going to be able to just overwhelm him and take him down and dominate him in the clinch. I think Reinier de Ridder is going to give him a tough time. So I'm going to go Reinier de Ridder by sneaky submission. And de Ridder can be had he's a plus 225 underdog. And Bo Nickel's a minus 280 favorite. So picking the underdog. I think Reinier de Ridder has got this. Submission. Main event time. Corey the Sandman Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo. Davison Figueiredo, obviously one of the more dynamic strikers we've ever seen. He's Figgy. He gets Figgy with it. Great right hand, great karate blitzing style, good takedowns, great chin, good cardio. He's a champion level fighter. What else can you say about him? He loves to time right hands. Although he seems to have slowed down a little bit, he can still time a good right hand. Um, but he's going against Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen, tall, great striker, good on the outside. His wrestling defense looked so good in his last fight at the cost of his striking. He almost got too worried about the takedown. Uh, but yeah, on the outside, he'll jab, jab, poke 1-2s. He'll front kick. He'll leg kick. He'll keep moving. And I think that's what he's going to have to do against Figueiredo. This could be classic Figgy, where he just pressures like a psycho and tries to take Corey Sandhagen out of there. But I'm going to... And also, you know what? Figueiredo can also use his takedowns. He's gotten a lot better at it at bantamweight, but can he take down Corey Sandhagen after Umar couldn't even get him down or control him? I don't know. And, you know, Corey Sandhagen has shown an amazing chin. Like, wheel kicks, big right hands, big shots from multiple fighters, and he stood up to it. So I don't think Figueiredo's going to knock him out. I guess he could take Sandhagen down and submit him. You know, Figgy's got that X factor of just being a champion. He's a champion. He's been a champion. And Corey Sandhagen has the X factor of being extremely durable and very tough and having great cardio. So I think all the chips, or most of the chips, are falling on Sandhagen's favor. I think if he can stay on the outside, use his jab, use his kicks, and just constantly keep Figueiredo repositioning, I think he can have a very successful night. So I'm going to go Corey Sandhagen. I'm going to go by unanimous decision. Figueiredo is always dangerous, though, and if anyone is going to be able to buzz Corey, it's going to be him. But I just can't pick it. I think Sandhagen, I really want him to get another title shot, but in all likeliness, I think he's going to win this fight, and he's going to probably need one or two more, just because of the guys he's lost to all happen to be at the top of the division. So I'm going to go Corey Sandhagen by unanimous decision, and he is the minus 450 favorite, and you can have Figueiredo for plus 320. So, hey, not bad if you're a Figgy believer. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today. I'm going to try to do these a little bit more. I'm trying to get back into it, basically. But what do you think? Am I stupid or am I based? Tell me in the comments. And take care.